a large inventory. So, Carol, I would like to turn this over to you at this time to share your expertise and talk about your mentoring bonus.
All right. Well, thank you, Phyllis, for asking me to speak this evening. When you asked me to address what I did to get Holly, who is on tonight, and Holly, you can afterwards, if I've said anything that's not quite correct, you can correct us, to come into the business with a pretty substantial order, an order that's a little bit larger than the average person comes in. I thought to myself, well, I didn't do anything. All I did was I provided her with the information, to make her decision. I guess I think about it like, the old Dragnet where they said, just the facts, ma'am. But anyway, let me just share with you how this unfolded. Holly called and left a message for me, it was probably about the 15th of October, indicating that she was interested in the business. So when I called her back, she said for some time she had been investigating this bra business and had been looking at like the websites of the various Genique distributors on the East Coast, people within driving distance of her home. And I don't recall how she discovered Genique because at that point she had not been fitted herself, but knew she desperately needed to get into one of these bras. She told me that she decided to contact me as a possible sponsor because after looking at my website, she just kind of felt like, she kind of resonated with it and felt that I was someone who seemed committed to giving her the needed support during the early months of her startup. We had at least a 1-hour conversation, I think, the first day, and then maybe another hour conversation the next day, and maybe another hour conversation the next day. And clearly, she was a very serious candidate, and I concluded that, given the business background she came from, that she would be very successful. So we spent several hours on the phone. She had good, solid business questions. And like I say, I pulled no punches, just played just the facts, ma'am. I wasn't trying to sell her on the business. I basically talked about why I thought I was successful in what I do. We talked a little bit about inventory a few times. I told her how I started out as well as how I've had others who have been successful, starting with as little as $500 and then just, growing over time. It's a slower start, but, they get there. We also discussed, however, the importance of having a woman wear her new bra home as opposed to, measuring her, fitting her with an extender, and then she has to wait for it to come in the next week. That it's a much more powerful experience if the woman can wear it home. Holly indicated she had a very supportive husband, and he was already telling her he was going to drag her to all his networking groups. As I recall, he manages, and I may not have this quite right, some assisted, living centers. He's in a lot of networking groups. So we kicked around a number of ideas on how to get her started. I suggested that I either go up to New Jersey and do a show for her and then, train her coming out of that, or she could come to Virginia and spend a few days with me, fitting, watching me fit, and get her to feel comfortable with the business than me, an opportunity to meet Mary Black, and then either, take the training, the full training, or, have me do some supplemental training later. She opted for coming to Virginia, so she came down about 10, 12 days later, about a 5-hour drive. When she arrived, we first spent about an hour fitting her in several of our bras so she could feel the difference in the different garments. And then that evening, I was scheduled to do a girls' night out sponsored by the hospital. It's called Spirit of Women. It's at a lot of hospitals across the country. So we handed out literature and answered questions. And then the next day, I had about 8 women scheduled at my office to do fittings. It was a good day because we had a variety of body types and issues. So it was a good opportunity for Holly to see, you know, some of the things you face when you're doing fittings. It was a quick study, and I remember at one point I was being real careful to fit an elderly lady with severe osteoporosis, and the first bra I put on her was a bit too small, and she spotted it immediately. And so she's a quick study; she gets it. She was able to observe fittings. Did 300s, J41s, J31s, 61s, 708s, new shapes, posture perfect, and the tummy tuck. So she got to see pretty much the whole works that day. Anyway, prior to watching me do the fittings that day, we had talked about various options for starting inventory. She expressed interest in being, some words to the effect of, you know, a real smashing success from the start. We then talked about how many hours a week she had to do the business and about how I started. And she concluded that her goals in doing the business were probably similar to what my goals were when I started, which was, you know, pretty substantial income coming out of the business. We initially talked about her just starting in, you know, every other bra in the 300s and the J41s, plus perhaps a 708 demo kit, which would have been about $2,000. But the next morning, after we did the fittings, she concluded that she also wanted to add both the shapewear and some of the J31s too. She wanted to do the extra J31s because I had fit somebody in a J41, and as we know, it's not as supportive as the J31s, and so I switched the woman into a J31, and it was very obvious, you know, how much more support she got. And of course, I told her by adding in, you know, that kit plus some fill-in bras was going to probably take the order up to about a total cost of, you know, close to $3,000. She was okay with that, and because basically her goal was to not be frustrated with not having what she needed from the start, and clearly with larger inventory, she'd be more confident that she would be that success. She'd have it there. So her initial order included, I believe it was 5 kits, lots of shapewear at the $15 net price based on her wholesale order that we had filling in the rest of the bras. So her bonus volume in my group numbers, I think, totaled something like about 1,200. And I think I'm sure that she understood that the value that the kits had, and what the value of the kits were at retail, as well as the fact that I really earned nothing on either those kits nor the shapewear that she was getting at that net price. We were just trying to do the best deal for her. The next morning, Mary Black cleared her calendar for me for 3 hours to give Holly a quick bra training. Thank you, Mary, even though you're not on tonight. The evening before, Holly had studied Mary's bra training 101 book that I had given her, and she had absorbed a lot. Mary gave her a quick quiz about fitting at the end of the 3 hours, and it was clear she got it. A few days later, she and I talked. She'd gone over the business concepts with her attorney brother, and boy, did she have some more questions. And some of them, of course, were driven from the attorney's perspective. And for a moment there, I thought, oh, my goodness, I'm wondering if she's questioning if she wants to do the business. But in a few more days, she'd set herself up as her LLC, got her federal ID, and gave me the go-ahead to submit the order. That was last week. The order came in a couple of days later, and she's already organized. And so this coming weekend, I'll be driving up there to help her do her first friends and family fittings. So I'll be up there about 3 days, with one day of it going over, administrative stuff, how to put in an order, and going over any lessons she learns from doing her first fittings. So wish she and me the best for the weekend.